All right, Star Trek Space Seed on Blu-ray. This is day 29 of 30 of my 30 days of Star Trek reviews. All right, a quick note on Space Seed. I grew up watching this episode all the time on VHS. This isn't the exact VHS that we had, but my mom bought it for my dad for Christmas like 30 years ago or something. It was like $80 on VHS. She had to special order it through the video store. Anyway, I grew up watching this all the time, and so I would watch Space Seed and then Star Trek 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Actually, I don't think I saw Star Trek 5 for a while, so it was maybe 2, 3, 4, 6. Anyway, to me, this was my Star Trek number 1. I didn't see the motion picture till I was like 18, 19 years old. All right, and just for fun, we're going to show some of this VHS because I bought this VHS tape on eBay, and I bought this VCR at a used place. All right, so here's what the VHS tape looks like. Look at that. Actually looks and sounds pretty good.
Captain's log, stardate 3141.9. A full hour has elapsed since interception of the strange vessel.
See? Look at
Our
that.
presence alongside is still being completely ignored. Although our
It's
sensors
not as detailed,
continue to show signs
but
of
we can still see what's
equipment
going on and
life aboard,
hear it
there's
just
no
fine.
indication of danger.
All right, I may have pulled a fast one on the children. I put the VHS tape in, filmed that little part, and now they're just watching the episode on VHS down there, which is how I watched it like 1,000 times when I was little. So one really cool thing about the Blu-ray is that you can watch it with enhanced special effects or with the original special effects. So with the ship like blumbling along like it's on a string, or with cool CG effects. All right, check out how different the new special effects are compared to the original ones. Look at that. Doesn't that look good?
Captain's log, stardate 3141.9. A full hour has elapsed since interception of the strange vessel. Our presence alongside
There's the
is
Blu-ray
still
versus the
being completely
VHS.
ignored.
Not that
Although
you
our
could
sensors
tell on my
continue
phone.
to show
So we find out a little bit about what Spock knows about this mysterious ship that they've come across. So,
The last such vessel was built centuries ago, back in the 1990s.
then it's a derelict.
also look at William Shatner's hair. My goodness, it's like such a curly fro in the movies, but in this old show, it's like this like amazingly combed blonde. But I like when Spock talks about the year the ship was made. He's like, back in the 1990s, which is 30 years in the future from when this show was made. But again, it's fun, like future exposition for the show. So we find out the ship is called the Botany Bay, and it's from the 90s. And we learn a little bit about the history of the 90s in Star Trek world.
Records of that period are fragmentary, however. The mid-1990s was the era of your last so-called World War. The eugenics wars. Of course.
Yeah, so superior humans designed to take over, basically. But I always, every time they talk about like different time periods in Star Trek, I always like try to compare it against other ones. So like in First Contact, they talk about in the mid 20th century, like around the year, or 21st century, like 2063-ish, about after the Third World War and all that. And so it's interesting them talking about the 90s was a time of war. So I'm not sure exactly how many wars there were in Star Wars history. Like, was there a eugenics war and a World War III? Not sure. Anyway, it's fun to learn about the horrible atrocities that happened in their Earth history that were actually in their future at the time. But now that we're watching it, it's in our past. We might need to draw on paper to follow along here. So they decide they're going to do a landing party to go over and investigate. And we're going to very quickly find out Kirk's opinion of the ship historian. I think this is hilarious.
Oh, I'll need somebody familiar with the late 20th century Earth. Here's a chance for that historian to do something for a change. What's her name? McGivers?
Lieutenant MacGyver.
Oh, man. Kirk does not think much of the historian, the resident historian on the Enterprise. Here's a chance for her to do something for a change. What do you mean, do something for a change? It looks like she's works on her hair.
Attention. The following personnel
does
report to
paintings?
transporter room.
do you mean?
Engineering Officer Scott, Lieutenant MacGyvers.
Look at her. Look at her. Look at this. She's right about to start painting again. What do you mean, Kirk? not do something for a change. She's clearly busy all the time. Look at her hair. Look at all her paintings. Come on, Kirk. So here we find out something about Bones' character that is very consistent every time they show him, including in the J.J. Abrams reboots. But just he words it so succinctly right here. There's no doubt about what he thinks about transporters.
Atmosphere. Very interesting. You ready, Bo?
No. Signed aboard this ship to practice medicine, not to have my atoms scattered back and forth across space by this gadget.
You're an old-fashioned boy, McCoy. Where's that historian?
I think I'm with Bones on this one. That transporter sounds absolutely terrifying, honestly. So we find out it's a sleeper ship that they've come across, and then learn something really fun from Lieutenant
Captain, it's a
McGyver's sleeper ship.
Suspended animation.
Uh-huh. I've seen no photographs of this. Necessary because of the time involved in space travel until about the year 2018.
Ah.
It took years just to travel from one planet to another.
Okay, so according to Star Trek World, the year 2018 was the year that we no longer needed sleep ships because of how long it took to travel. So I think they're ahead of us in their technology. So we start getting Khan woken up earlier before everyone else, and then look at Lieutenant McGyver's proving how useful she is to Kirk.
There's some signs of respiration beginning.
This one was probably programmed to be triggered first.
Could he be the leader?
She doesn't even listen to him.
The leader. Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, I love this like romantic lighting that they do where they light up behind their hair and then they go really soft on the face. But she's totally smitten by Khan and proving to Kirk once again that she's completely worthless. So here we have Kirk and Spock debating on the ship and where it came from and what it's about. And then you really get, there's a sense that Spock has this conflicting duality between his Vulcan and human half because he's half Vulcan. But let's just listen to how he talks about Earth.
They took that name for the vessel.
If you're suggesting this was a penal deportation vessel, you've arrived at a totally illogical conclusion.
Oh.
Your Earth was on the verge of a dark ages. Whole populations were being bombed out of existence. A group of criminals could have been dealt with far more efficiently than wasting one of their most advanced spaceships.
All right, so Spock, Earth is like half of his genetic information is from Earth. So it's so interesting how he tries to completely shut off his human side. But you can always see it peeking through in him showing his emotions. And then right here where he's talking about Earth, and he's like, your Earth was on the verge of dark ages. And it's like, Spock, it's kind of your Earth too, buddy. Your Earth was on the verge of a dark ages. All right, just can't help it. Here's one more example of how Spock is suppressing his human self.
So far, I have none.
Talking about he doesn't have any
And that
facts.
irritates you, Mr. Spock.
Spock's like, what?
Irritation.
Yeah.
I'm not capable of that emotion.
Yeah, right. Kirk knows better. Kirk's like, oh, you don't have all the facts, and that irritates you, doesn't it? Spock's like, nope, no irritation here. Nope, I'm not a human. And you see his face, and it's just like, he knows that he's irritated. I just love that Kirk is always just poking at Spock, trying to get his emotions out. This is such a perfect intro to Khan's character. So they've been talking about these superhumans being sent into space and all the things that they did and the atrocities. And now here's Bones talking about Khan's abilities.
All about.
I'd estimate he could lift us both with one arm. Be interesting to see if his brain matches his body.
Okay, so that's some foreshadowing right there, right? So that he's explaining, they're like, look, Khan could lift us both with one arm. Like, he's superior, and then it's like, maybe does his brain match his body? And it's cool because then in Star Trek 2, when he lifts up Chekhov, it's totally with precedent of this episode. So we're several minutes into this episode already, and they've just been building and building and building who this guy is, and all he's done is sleep so far. So this is like the perfect bad guy introduction. So then we get Khan waking up and we learn what kind of dude he is. But also in this, he's got his hand around Bones' throat. And we really get to learn some of an example of the metal and balls that Bones has. I love this.
Throat. Answer my question. It would be most effective if you would cut the carotid artery just under the left ear.
Anyone that can go toe to toe with Khan, I think is pretty incredible.
Like a brave man.
Yes. But seriously though, with this original Star Trek, we're used to thinking of all the red shirts and Kirk as the people with like the brawn, jumping into things, and Kirk attacking people with his two fists clenched together and hitting people. You think of that as like the bravery of this show, but this scene right here, boop, shows that Bones is super brave as well, and that's awesome. All right, next time you're trying to pick up a beautiful Starfleet lady, just say what Khan said. Probably the best pickup line in all time.
A beautiful woman.
Oh.
My name is Khan. Please sit and entertain me.
My name is Khan. Please sit and entertain me.
I'd like some Mr.
I mean, it works. They get married. So, best pickup line of all time. Use it. So this is now the third outfit we've seen Khan in. One is his shiny loincloth space sleep diaper outfit. And then the next was his little capris, like super V-neck open shirt. And then check this jacket out. It's so cool. Look at this thing. Oh, she drew a picture of him. She's smitten. Look at this. Ah! Oh, look at that. Look at that jacket. My goodness. It's too bad it fits him so poorly. So watching this with my little kid, 7-year-old boy, 4-year-old girl, 2-year-old girl, had to explain that the way he's treating her, even though she's slowly getting more smitten by him, the way he's treating her is absolutely not okay. For example, right here.
Will you open your heart?
Look at that. He's like totally dominating her. He's like crushing her hand. So yeah, I had to say to the 4 and 2-year-old, be like, this is not okay. What Khan's doing is not okay. Look, he's being mean to her. So that, because he does have this like alpha male magnetism, but at the same time, he also has like the bad features of alpha male, like the domineering and stuff like that. So had to explain to them, like, this is not a healthy relationship, even though she eventually starts to like him more and more. Here's some more background on Khan.
Khan Noonien Singh.
His full name.
From 1992 through 1996, absolute ruler of more than a quarter of your world. From Asia.
So again, we're just getting it more and more and more just like, oh my gosh, this guy is dangerous. He is, I mean, the way he's treating MacGyvers, but also his history of just being a tyrant. And so it's kind of building the tension throughout the episode that you're like, I think this guy's going to do something bad. Also, he says he needs her help to take over the ship. But it's interesting how they're building tension by giving you more and more information about him to make him seem more and more scary and menacing, and kind of make him seem more impossible to beat. It's funny watching these guys getting Spock riled up again. They're basically talking about how they admire Khan and his dominion and the way he ran his kingdom, and Spock's getting all upset, and they have to explain to Spock it's okay to admire him but also be against him. This is cool watching the mental chess game between Khan and Kirk, and Khan drops a pretty big insult and gauntlet to Kirk.
Out, you would understand.
And Khan is imprisoned inside of his
Because I'm
room
not a
right
product
now.
of controlled genetics.
Captain, although your abilities
That's what he
intrigue
says.
me, you are quite honestly inferior.
Oh!
Mentally, physically. In fact,
pretty
I am
rude.
surprised how little
So now we get to see Khan's true motivations for what he's going to do in this 23rd century, and Kirk's reaction. So again, Khan is in his bedroom with guards outside locked in because they found out who he was. And listen to what he says to Khan, and listen to the awesome music that kicks in after he says it.
Yes, it appears we will do well in your century, Captain.
Ooh.
Do you have any other questions? Thank you.
They've all been answered.
My goodness. These are two beautiful men. I'm just gonna say it. Look at them. Magnificent specimens, these two. So Khan's got Kirk in the decompression chamber, and William Shatner's doing his best to make it look like it's a bad time getting decompressed. And so they're showing these Starfleet officers Kirk dying, basically. And Khan is basically saying, if you join me, we'll save his life and we'll let it go. But every single one of these Starfleet officers, I mean, some of them don't like watching the person suffering in the decompression chamber, but every single one of them is just sitting there nope, I'm not going to let you take the ship. So Khan's explaining he needs the ship so that they can find a colony.
One with a population willing to be led by us, to be conquered by you.
Bones can see right through it.
Make that most simple, wouldn't it?
Each of you in turn will go in there.
I love that all of their faces are just they're I'm not going to help you. They know how powerful their ship is, and they know how important it is to not let him take it, even at their own lives. And so earlier I talked about the metal and the balls and the metal balls of Bones, but seriously, every one of these Starfleet officers has some pretty incredible metal. Here we go. It's about to get action-packed up in here. We're going to see the Vulcan neck pinch coming up. Always a pleasure to see. Haha, got him. And here's Khan showing how tough he is to Kirk, squishing his obviously clay phaser. Look at it. It's totally a piece of clay. They added some really good sound effects of it getting crunched, though. All right, Kirk's gonna bust out the moves to save the ship. Or is it Kirk? It's a super obvious stunt double. Look at his face. That's not Kirk at all. This is a good fight, though. Here comes the signature double fist clenched Kirk slam move. This is basically the signature Kirk fight move here. Here we go. Right here, kick the leg, double fist. I love how super obvious it is, the stunt doubles. Look at this cute baby. Look at this cute baby. Hey, bud. What are you doing? Hello. So you have Khan saying that he has 5 times the strength of Kirk. But Kirk, as we see in Star Trek II after this, he can outthink him in a battle. And Kirk uses what's around him to defeat Khan. He's going to hit him with a stick. Basically, if you get some kind of a stick, then you can kind of close the gap in the strength discrepancy. So Khan has incredible pride, and Kirk is very ingenuitous with what's around him, which actually makes the Nutara Nebula scene in Star Trek II all that much cooler, because we know that Khan has a pride problem, and we know that Kirk is good at using stuff around him. Anyway, creates such an awesome battle. So, future. So the parallel of the Botany Bay Australian colony and Khan's new colony, it continues. They're going to send Khan and his people to a super inhospitable planet.
Those men went on to tame a continent, Mr. Khan. Can you tame a world?
Have you ever read Milton, Captain?
Yeah.
I love how this show promotes just education and literacy by including all these cool old references. That it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. So we're finding out that Marla MacGyver's, in all of her usefulness on the ship, is about to leave the ship and go live with Khan on Scary Planet. And all of that is overshadowed by the fact that, what is all of this on the floor? What is this? It's nobody could clean up the junk on the floor before they started filming? What is that? Honestly, that's part of the charm of this show, is the junk on the floor while they're filming. Now, in case we are not well read on Milton, Scotty asks the question, which is very nice.
It's a shame for a good Scotsman to admit it, but I'm not up on Milton.
Statement Lucifer made when he fell into the pit. It's better to rule in hell than serve in heaven.
what Spock says is
Be
really interesting.
Captain, to return to that world in 100 years and learn what crop had sprung from the seed you planted today.
Yes, Mr. Spock. It would indeed.
So that's some pretty gnarly foreshadowing by Spock talking about it'd be interesting to check up on this colony. Turns out they're going to be checking on it a lot sooner than 100 years. So I'm actually going to review the Wrath of Khan next. So my 7-year-old liked the fighting parts. My 4-year-old liked all the parts. So they liked it. I love this episode. I grew up watching it over and over on a VHS tape just like this that my mom bought for my dad in Christmas a long time ago. So thank you for watching. This has been day 29 of 30 of my Star Trek reviews. And this is original series on Blu-ray is so incredible. It looks so good. And I love switching back and forth between the original effects and the new effects. The new effects are obviously more palatable, but the original effects are fun to look at so you can appreciate them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And we've got one more in my 30 days of Star Trek reviews. Next will be The Wrath of Khan on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. And then I'll go back to just random reviews as normal after that. So let me know what you think. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye.